It was the kind of winter night that made the city feel smaller, quieter. Snow drifted through the yellow streetlights, and every sound was softened by the cold. Ethan Cole pulled his scarf tighter around his neck as he and his son Noah stepped out of the train station. Noah's mittened hand was tucked in his, swinging with the careless rhythm only an 8-year-old could manage. For a moment, Ethan watched his son try to catch snowflakes on his tongue and smiled. But then the smile faded. It had been a year since Olivia passed away, and some nights still felt like walking through fog, moving, but not really knowing where he was going. Before she died, Olivia had held his hand and said, "Promise me, Ethan. Don't close your heart. Keep living. Help people when you can." He had nodded through tears, meaning it, but not really understanding what it would require. Since then, his days had been filled with work, drafting buildings, managing clients, keeping busy so he wouldn't have to feel the silence in their house. But that night, something shifted. They were walking through the small park near their apartment when Noah suddenly stopped. "Dad," he whispered, tugging on Ethan's coat. "Look." On a snow-covered bench under a broken streetlight sat a young woman. Her shoulders were hunched, her head bent over a small bundle in her arms. She wore a thin gray sweater, her hair damp from the snow. Ethan hesitated, his mind already making excuses. It wasn't safe. Someone else would help. Maybe she didn't want to be bothered. But then Noah said softly, "Her baby's cold." Something in the boy's voice made Ethan's chest tighten. He saw Olivia in that moment, her gentle way of seeing people, her quiet insistence that kindness mattered most. So he took a breath and walked toward the bench. "Hey there," he said, keeping his voice calm. "You okay? Do you need help?" The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were tired, her lips pale. "We're fine," she said quickly, "just waiting for the bus." Ethan glanced around. The nearest stop was 2 blocks away. "There's no bus stop here," he said gently. "It's freezing. Can I give you a ride somewhere?" She shook her head. "No, I don't want to be any trouble." Noah stepped forward, his small voice full of concern. "My dad's nice. We have a warm car. Please let us help." The woman looked at the boy, then back at Ethan. Finally, she nodded slightly. "My name's Grace," she said, "and this is Emma." She looked down at the baby in her arms. "She's 2 weeks old." Ethan's heart clenched. The baby's tiny face was red from the cold, her blanket thin and frayed. He quickly unwrapped his own scarf and handed it to Grace. "Here," he said, "let me help." He wrapped it gently around Emma, careful not to startle her. In the car, the heater hummed as the snow thickened outside. Grace sat in the back with Emma, her hands trembling slightly. Ethan drove slowly, glancing at her through the mirror. "Do you have somewhere to stay tonight?" She hesitated. "Not really. I tried the shelters, but they're full." Noah leaned forward from his seat. "Dad, she can stay with us, right?" "Just for tonight." Ethan looked at the boy, then at the young woman. He saw the pride in her posture, the way she tried to hold herself together. Olivia's words echoed again in his mind. "Don't close your heart." "Yeah," he said finally. "You can stay with us. We'll figure things out tomorrow." Grace tried to protest, but exhaustion won. By the time they reached Ethan's house, her eyes were glassy from fatigue. He showed her to the guest room, a simple space with a small bed and a warm quilt Olivia had made years ago. Grace laid Emma down gently, her eyes filling with tears as the baby finally slept in peace. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what we would have done tonight." Ethan smiled faintly. "You don't owe me thanks." Over the next few days, Ethan learned bits of Grace's story. She had been a teacher before pregnancy complications forced her to stop working. Medical bills piled up, and when her boyfriend left, she couldn't keep the apartment. She'd been staying with friends until there was nowhere left to go. She told the story quietly, without bitterness, but Ethan could see how much strength it had taken to survive. Noah adored her from the start. He'd sit beside her while she fed Emma, asking endless questions about babies and teaching. Grace was patient, smiling in that soft way that made people feel seen. Slowly, the house began to feel different. There was laughter again, light, unplanned moments that Ethan hadn't heard since Olivia's passing. One evening, while Ethan worked at the kitchen table, Grace walked in holding 2 mugs of cocoa. "You've been at that for hours," she said. "You should take a break." He looked up and smiled. "You sound like my wife." Grace hesitated. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean—" "It's okay," he said quietly. She would have said the same thing. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind outside. "You've been good for Noah," Ethan said after a moment. "He talks more now, smiles more." Grace looked down at her cup. "He's a good kid. He reminds me what hope looks like." A week later, Grace got a call from the local elementary school. They needed a substitute teacher for a few months. Ethan could tell how much it meant to her. Finally, a chance to stand on her own again. She started working, and every evening she came home to help Noah with homework or cook dinner while Ethan finished his projects. But one night after dinner, Grace said quietly, "I've been looking at apartments. I think I found something small near the school." Noah froze. "You're leaving?" Grace smiled softly. "Not right away. I just don't want to take advantage of your dad's kindness." Ethan looked at her, feeling something stir inside him, a mix of gratitude and sadness. The thought of the house without her laughter or Emma's soft cries felt heavier than he expected. Later that night, after Noah went to bed, Ethan found Grace in the living room, folding baby clothes. "Grace," he said, sitting down across from her, "you don't have to rush. You've become part of this home. I don't want you to feel like a guest." She shook her head. "I can't stay here forever. People will think I'm taking advantage of you." He smiled faintly. "Let them think what they want. I'm just trying to keep a promise I made, to live with kindness." Her eyes softened. "You really loved her, didn't you?" "Every day," he said quietly. "But I think she'd want me to open this home to people who need it." That's who she was. Grace looked down at Emma, sleeping peacefully in her arms. "You've already done more than most would." Ethan hesitated. "What if you didn't have to move out? What if we made it official? You stay here, share the house, help with Noah, and build something together. Not charity, just family, in a different kind of way." Grace blinked back tears. "You'd really want that?" Before Ethan could answer, Noah appeared in the doorway, sleepy-eyed but smiling. "Please stay, Grace. Emma too. It feels right when you're here." Grace laughed softly, her voice trembling. "You two are impossible to say no to." From then on, the house wasn't just Ethan's anymore. It became theirs. Grace's things filled the once empty shelves. The smell of her cooking mixed with the familiar scent of pine from the living room tree. Emma's gentle coos became the background music of their mornings. Months passed, and winter gave way to spring. Ethan found himself waking up to laughter again, feeling warmth that had nothing to do with the sun. Grace brought a calmness that steadied him. Noah thrived in the busy, loving household, proudly calling Emma his almost sister. One night, as the three of them sat by the fireplace, Noah reading aloud while Emma babbled on Grace's lap. Ethan looked around the room and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. He caught Grace's eye and said quietly, "You know, Olivia used to say families aren't just about who you're born to. They're about who you choose to stand beside." Grace smiled, her eyes shining. "Then I guess we chose each other." Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and slow. Inside, the light from the fire flickered across their faces, warm and steady. For the first time since Olivia's passing, Ethan knew he had truly kept his promise. He hadn't just helped someone, he had opened his heart, and in doing so, he'd found a new kind of family, one built on kindness, healing, and love that quietly grows when it's shared.